Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Steve Earhart, and in this video I want to show you how I made this little watercolour set. It's in a little mint tin box. Oops, and in there we've got some paper that you've just seen fall out, a pencil that's fallen out, there you go, a brush that's fallen out, and some paints. The paints are tube paints, but they will set and form hard pan-like paints. In this video I've used polymorph, which is a thermoset plastic, to make the paint tray, but there's lots of other options. If you haven't got any of that or don't want to buy that, you could use a glue gun, you could use epoxy glue with some strips of plastic or acetate, loads of different ways of doing this. But let's get on and I'll show you how I made this one. Thanks for watching.
So here goes. We've got, I've cleaned out the mint tin to get rid of any residue of the mints. I've got a bowl of hot water here, it's just come out the kettle, and I'm putting some of the pellets in from the bag of polymorph. I think that's a 500 gram bag, and I've already used it for a few projects, and 3 or 4 handfuls there, but it really does seem to go quite a long way. You want to wait until the polymorph field, you'll see it turn clear, and once all the beads have turned clear, you can get it out and you can give it a squeeze and knead it together. I'm just draining off the water. Obviously, bear in mind it's just come out of some water that's just come out of the kettle, so it's quite hot. It does cool to the touch quite quickly, but please don't burn yourself. It has come out of boiling water. So initially, I tried to do this in one big go, which you'll see here. It wasn't the best way, although what it did do, when I sort of pulled it out, it did give me a good lining that you'll see that I've left a sort of layer of lining in, and I've sort of tried to mould that there, and that was pretty full, and tried to sort of press in an old glass bottle, little mini glass bottle, to make the indents for the paint pans. It wasn't ideal, that, so I pulled some out, and sort of spread out what's left, and left that as a sort of a base. You'll notice that I'm keeping the right hand side clear there, and that's because that's the side that I'm going to use just to store the brushes and pens and things. So I've got most of it out again. I've left a thin layer along the bottom, and put it back into the hot water just to keep it soft. So what I'm doing now is just taking a small piece at a time to create the middle channel. I'm going to create 6 cavities for paint, so I'm creating a channel down the middle here, and then I'll do the same to create a little channel at the right hand side, or the top of the screen as you see it there. And then I'll subdivide each of the individual ones. So again, it's just remember that it is hot. If you're putting it in and out of the boiling water, it's quite hot. So creating the little mini subchannels there. And you can tell as this starts to go off, because it'll start to go opaque. So whilst it's flexible, it's see-through, and it'll turn white basically as it hardens. So as it starts to turn white, you know it's getting harder. It's colder and harder. You can always reheat this to melt it again. But obviously when it's in a big clump, it takes a lot longer to melt as a big clump than it does as the tiny little pellets that you buy it in. So that's the final channels there just going in. So that's, I'm just sort of giving it a little bit of an additional shape, but that's basically created 6 little wells. And it closes okay. It's a little bit stiff actually, because there's just a tiny bit, and you can just see it there, just a tiny bit that's sort of squeezed through the hinge. So you can just either trim that off. It's not stopping it close, it just made it slightly stiffer. So there we've got the channels. Okay, so now the paint wells are done. The next job is to create the mini paintbrush and mini pencil. So I do have a little water brush that you fill with water, but it's just slightly too long for that tin. So if you've got a slightly bigger tin, that's an option. But I'm just taking, I've got some they're relatively cheap but okay brushes, so I'm just taking a sort of a small medium-ish brush there, and cutting it with a Stanley knife. Just roll it, and then once I'm most way through, I'll just snap that off, and then just tidy up the end with the knife. Obviously watch your fingers, just whittle the end basically to make it a little bit rounded over. So obviously the game here is not to create a perfect art studio. It's a really small little tin that can just sit in my pocket and can take anywhere, to allow me to do a little sketch or whatever wherever I am. So, you know, I am putting a little pencil and a bit of a brush in there, and a few small sheets of paper. But obviously, you know, the alternatives are to carry with your little sketchbook, maybe with a pencil in there, or even a pencil and a brush, and just use this as the palette perhaps. But I just wanted something that I could just keep in my pocket. Okay, so now it's the same job with the pencil. Just offer it up, make sure you've got the right size, and gently score through as far as you can with a Stanley knife. You know, safety first, don't press too hard, but firm pressure, and just roll it. Try and keep it nice and parallel. Once you're most of the way through, you can break the pencil fairly neatly by snapping it. So yeah, we'll do that now. There we go, and that one just basically came apart. That had gone all the way through to the lead. So there we go. We've got our little palette, and we've got a brush and a pencil now. So the next job is paper. So I've taken a couple of sheets out of a watercolour sketchbook, and I'm just cutting them down now to size, just to nice little squares that'll fit neatly in the tin. I guess ultimately I'll probably store the paper in a little Ziploc bag or something, just to keep it dry and keep it away from the paint. But for now, I'm just showing it in there. So I think I've cut about 6 sheets of paper from one sheet out of the sketchbook, and these pieces are 6 centimeters by 6 centimeters. So that's about 2.5 inches square. So they're not massive. You know, they're not going to go on the wall. But it's just a bit of paper to do a little sketch on or something while you're out. Okay, so the pans have cooled down now. You can see that they've turned white. So it's time to put the paint in. I'm just choosing sort of 6 colours that I use reasonably regularly. I'm making sure that I've got a yellow, a blue, and a red for the primaries, and then just a couple of others that I use, quite a nice green that I use, and a couple of specific other reds that I use quite regularly. but just any just whatever you use that you find used a lot. These are Winsor & Newton Cotman colours, which are really good student quality paints. They do the job. I'm no fantastic watercolourist, but I do enjoy to paint, and they do me very well. They will set in the pans, so you squeeze them out into those pans, and the paints will set as if they were the pan paints that you buy. Yeah, they're perfectly fine. Certainly for a little sketch set like this, they're perfectly adequate.
So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment or subscribe, and if you didn't, then please like, comment or subscribe, or dislike if you want. Thanks for watching.